Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I am your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have a guest. Honestly, I'm really excited for this because it's been a long time coming. You know, we've known each other from probably as soon as we started walking, really, and we connected. We've gone through a lot. There's been some highs and there's been some lows in his life and business journey that I know you guys are going to take so much value from. But what's really key here is that there's going to be a lot of depth. There's probably going to be things he was just saying before, you know, we sort of got on this and recorded it, that he really wants to share depths of his journey that probably has not been shared before, and a space for him to really go out of his comfort zone and let people into his world, his authentic journey. Because he was saying the biggest thing that he wants to share on his sort of like business journey, but also his life, is the rawness, the realness and the authenticity of his life. So I've got goosebumps as I'm even speaking to the camera right now. I'm really excited to welcome him. His name's brilliant as well. I love the name, and I'm going to welcome him in anyway. I'm going to stop talking now. Buddy, welcome
Amazing.
to the podcast, Callum.
First one being on the opposite side of the seat as well, actually. Like, it's a strange feeling.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does it feel?
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Sean, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No.
I feel famous now.
Feel famous? By no means.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Was that an alright intro?
That was wicked. I'm like, do it again.
So Luke, thanks for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. It's a little bit, it's very weird.
There's going to be a good one today.
Yeah.
So to let you guys know, we're going to be breaking this show down into 2 episodes. We're going to be focusing very much on the business struggles, the identity, and where Luke found himself at a young life and where he is now. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the personal side, the family side, and how he manages to balance it all together. So one of the things I want to speak to you about straight off the bat is obviously football. Football was the journey. It was the identity. It was how you were going to make money. It's probably what you've thought about just from a very young age. And going through, you know, the academy systems, having contracts, having trials, it's such a hard industry to get into at any level. And it has to be your sole focus. If you're not fully in, you don't stand a chance. And at some point, there must have been that point for you where you realised it wasn't going to happen for you, or it wasn't going to be the thing that effectively paid your wages or gave you a career. What was that moment like, and what made you sort of make the next move that you did? Where did you find yourself for a period of time, and how did you sort of manage?
Yeah, good question. Sounds like you know me really well.
I do, yeah.
No, we go back. But no, good question. So just to sort of for the audience to understand, obviously football for me was, since I basically could like run around, really. 3 years old, I'd have a ball at my feet. Well, I could run around more than that, but as soon as like balance-wise, 3 years old, probably started playing in football teams from the ages of 5 all the way till the age of 20, 22 years of age. Probably the moment that sort of like stood out for me when I probably thought in my mind, oh gosh, I'm actually going to make a career out of this. Is this going to be my profession? Because all I ever dreamed of was becoming a professional footballer. I'd probably say at the age of 17. So I had left school, I'd got a scholarship at Rotherham United, and I guess that was sort of my team that I'd been at for a couple of years, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go through the academy system, then through into the youth team system, and then into the men's football and gain that professional contract. First 4 months into it, I just realised, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. As in, I didn't have much support from the management. I think I've said this in a few probably episodes before, but, you know, if people are first watching this, I was getting bullied, you know, I was getting bantered hard, and I was struggling with that. I think I just had so much sort of positivity and support from my school, which I'm very grateful for, to have that other side where then you're sort of not being pushed out of the team, but you're sort of having the men's sort of world of banter. I mean, I struggled with that. And
did that also come from when you play football in school? Were you the big fish at school because you were probably one of the better players or the best player at school?
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
And then suddenly you find yourself in an environment where actually I'm not head and shoulders above everyone else. Was that a bit of a...
There was a bit of that. I mean, I would still back myself and say that I was probably up in the top average of the team, but the problem is I lacked the confidence then because I was getting sort of attacked. I was sort of being in that bit of victim going, hold on a minute, why are they bantering me all the time? the first instance was when because I like asking questions, obviously here we are, but they would go, Luke, are you thick? What do you need to ask that question for? I'd always been told as a kid growing up, if you've got a question, don't be afraid to ask. So then I started being afraid to ask, because I was like going, oh my God, I'm embarrassing myself. Oh my God, these guys are going to dig at me. So for me, it was sort of, it come in at 17, that doubt then, that self-doubt started creeping in going, oh, because I think you just go through like a system and you start thinking, right, I'll do this, I'll go. And that was the first time that I started feeling, oh, well, if I leave this club, because I'm not enjoying it anyway, I'm living away from home as well at, 16, just turning 17. I had the courage to leave, but I left because I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy it there, which at the end of the day, my dad always said to me when I played football, you've got to enjoy it. And I wasn't enjoying it.
So then what was the age that you finally made the decision that this wasn't going to be your future?
22.
Right.
Yeah, so if we go back to May 2015, I'd done a spell in Scotland, so I went to this like next level soccer academy, it was called at the time, and I gave myself a 3-week stint. This guy sort of, my dad paid for it. I lived up in like Diggs Hotel for 3 weeks. I thought, right, this will be my last shot. And I did it where, I had a few trials like Motherwell, I think they were Partick Thistle, stuff like that. Pretty much same thing, got rejected. It wasn't meant to be. And that's when I decided, you know what, I've got to try something else. I've been, from the ages of 19 of being released to 22, having jobs in between, sort of earning the money, spending the money on these trials. I'd given myself the best shot.
That must have been a pretty scary place to be, because at that sort of, you get conditioned from quite a young age to at least start thinking about your future, at least having a rough idea of what you want to do. And now, not everyone ends up doing, I personally have not ended up doing anything like what I thought I was going to, but you at least have a rough idea of where you want to go, and to suddenly find yourself at 22 and that's all gone. Like, where was your mentality at from a sort of a future point of view? What did you even know where you were going and what you were going to do?
Well, I think it was the panic, the sort of, what do I do now? Speaking with my dad, I mean, again, I'm very grateful for my family support. I genuinely think if I didn't have them sort of always asking me and saying, providing spaces for me to talk, I've had it all. I mean, there's so much to my footballing career and everything that I've been through that I wouldn't have got through it without them. But I sort of struggled in terms of the next part, because all my friends had gone to uni. A lot of my friends also started going through, apprenticeships. They've got jobs now. They were earning pretty good money, and I wasn't really earning much. I was earning minimum wage. I was doing minimum wage jobs just to sort of get by, really, part-time worked with my dad a little bit, engineering, did some delivery role jobs. So I was bitting and bobbing, but it was all still trying to work towards becoming a footballer. But then the sort of interest, and I didn't even realise this at the time. Again, when you're sort of in a low mental space, I don't know, you kind of tunnel vision. You don't see things. You sort of just in the dumps, in a rut, if you want to say. I was just, my escape or my, I guess, release of stress was the gym. So I had gym every day. But I also, in my mind, was like, I'm not going to let football beat me. I still wanted to be this footballer. So I was still hoping, if you want to say. So I was training, twice a day, team no days off. That were me. We're talking 22 years old. But also I thought I want to look good for girls and get out on the dating scene. Because I was like, well, I've just sacrificed my life for football, and I'd never really sort of, I guess, gave that a real solid go. I'd had girlfriends, but I don't know, it was all sort of egotistical, want to look good,
of course, yeah.
Get the abs out, all that kind of
and
stuff.
There may have even been a little bit of your, being a younger age, other lads who, we know what young blokes are like. Oh, look, he's a failed footballer, so your compensation with it, but like almost like the aesthetic that I look good. So it's almost like you're compensating for the fact that they might criticise you for the football side of things, but you've got something else that you can sort of work towards. So what was your next step when you actually had to do something for a bit more of a, not even a career, but like a job that you could actually do and would maybe take you somewhere?
Well, I started looking on Indeed. It was sort of looking around, but I soon realised that I enjoyed sort of the physicality side of things. So I looked at jobs such as like football coaching. I got my coaching badges from football. I'd definitely say that was good. Obviously, I had my like BTEC in sport and exercise science. Honestly, education and going to university never interested me. I even sort of did all the SAT exams to go and play, and I actually had an opportunity to be a scholar in the United States.
Right.
But again, the thought of committing 4 years to that, it put me off. I don't know what it was. I didn't want to just feel stuck. I think that was the biggest thing. Now, this leads on really well to actually what happened next, because my mum and dad had started travelling, and I was working with my dad at the time. And he sort of come back and went, Luke, me and your mum's just been on a cruise. I'd never even heard of it. I thought, oh, cruises for old people, like stereotypically people do. Luke, we saw a trainer out there on the beach playing volleyball with, the friends or staff or whatever. Looked like they were having such a good time. And they knew that I'd not got no fun in my life anymore. I was pretty boring. I was depressed. Hey guys, are you feeling burnt out or wanting a quick break away from the daily grind? Well, our friends over at Cyro Boca Place offer the ultimate destination for those seeking a blend of luxury wellness, adventure, and restoration. If you know me, you know I'm fully invested in health and well-being. So if you don't prioritize yourself first, how are you supposed to be showing up for others around you? Looking for an experience like this, head over to www.cyrohotels.com. Basically. So he said, Luke, would you want to become a personal trainer? So at that time, we're going back to 2015, things weren't really online then anyway. So it was in person. But it was, you had to sort of sacrifice 6 weeks of an in-person course. It was in Nottingham. Actually, we're in Nottingham now, but it was actually, near the waterfront. And it was a gym up on the top floor. And obviously I was very fortunate that because I was working with my dad just said, look, Luke, do the 6 weeks off, go for it. Do something different. So I did it full time, in person, Monday to Friday, sat exams, everything, personal training, that was my career. So as I was on that, I met somebody, weirdly, that had been on cruise ships, working on them as a fitness trainer. So obviously there's me, my eyes are up. Oh, what was it like? Tell me. He's like, oh, mate, banging birds, man. It was great. It was fun, but you're in a different place every day. Yeah. And different place every day. I don't know. I just wanted to see things differently, not be stuck. Like I say, stuck and committed to one place. So I just said, well, how can I do that? So then that's when my ship journey started. I'd not done any personal training. This is what people may not know either. I'd not conducted 1 single hour of personal training. And I went straight to this interview. And we're talking, I was qualified in July 2015. So May 2015, football gone. July 2015, qualified as a PT. September 2015, I was out on a cruise ship, flying out to Vancouver, going around Alaska. And I had no idea what I was doing. Listen, I rocked up to that ship with 3 weeks of training with a medical, a C1D visa, and I had to teach classes and I had no idea what I was doing. I winged it.
Without jumping ahead too much, is that your last employed role? As in you had a boss, effectively?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say no because I did come back. So when I come back from my first cruise ship contract, I was like, I'm never going back on ships again. I really had a tough time. I wanted to quit so many times. Like for the whole 7 months, I was like on my phone to mum and dad every day. I want to come home. My dad was like, well, come home then. But in my mind, I was like, no, I've got to stick this through. Just this 9-month contract. Come on, 2 months to go kind of thing. And, but on that contract, it was like in the last 6 weeks, so the last 2 months, that was my best 2 months, I'd met a girl and she was from America. Stayed in touch. Anyway, she came over to see me and then I ended up going out to New York with her. So then I did a web design course, paid for that. So I was like, I need to do something remote. That, I didn't really enjoy it. I couldn't see myself sat behind a laptop sort of thing all the time. Then I tried looking for a coaching job in the United States. But again, unless you've got like a green card and you're married, it was really hard to sort of get the visa situation. Again, I wouldn't have really known that. People say it, but I guess you know more of it once you're out there. So I was out in America for 3 months. Then I come home and I was like, what do I do now? And I got actually a cash in hand part-time job. I was working at Coleman's Garage as an MOT assistant and I was jet blasting cars, mate. So I was working for somebody, but I was doing the labour intensive stuff. And then I earned that money. My dad was like, you got to earn the money. And then that, I used that to go back on ships to cover the flight money because the first contract they covered, second one I had to pay for my flights.
And then how long were you on the ships for after that?
About 2 years, but the contract, when I went back out in January, I was out there for 10 months, so I come back in October.
And then after that, was it the contract expiring, or was it you wanting to do something based around more home, or was it, what was the trigger for you actually being home and staying?
Well, it was, I'd signed up to be a personal trainer. I'd set up the name Musclecoach in 2015, but I guess it all happened very quick. It was like, what's my brand name going to be? I don't know where. I sort of thought I needed a name. I didn't like it how I didn't have a name. So I was like, I've got to come up with a name. What would it be? Brand name, Musclecoach, results with care. Got the business cards, everything. And I was like, ships, off we go. And then obviously at the time when I sort of left ships, which was 2018, I was sort of do you know what? I think my time's up on ships. I was kind of like working for somebody else. I was filling somebody else's pocket up, and I was doing really well. I was earning a lot of commission and stuff like that. I was thinking, do you know what? I want to do Musclecoach now. I want to do it for me. I want to sort of set up my own business. And then that's when I sort of came back home, and I actually signed up at Anytime Fitness Mansfield as a member. And then I was doing online coaching. I actually was working with Fox Physiques, so an online coaching company, because at that time, when I was on ships, the laptop lifestyle, traveling the world, sat behind that looked like the dream. And that's when I sort of thought, oh yeah, I won't mind a bit of that. Still traveling the world, sat behind a laptop, which I did. I went to South Africa, I went to America again, but I don't know, it just didn't feel me. I thought, right, actually now I do want to settle, which I thought I just wanted to be in a different place all the time. So that's when then I moved back home, my mum and dad, and then, I actually accidentally, as I was walking home, because I was that bored, I had that much time on my hands, Anytime Fitness Sutton was setting up a new gym, and because I was a member at Mansfield, they said I could transfer there. And then, I just asked the question, are you looking for personal trainers? So my dad was like, get out of the house, you're depressing, because I was moaning all the time, and I did. And then the rest is history, really.
Did you think that the need to kind of be everywhere and do different things, was that from a positive, or was that more of like an escapism? You just didn't want to be in the same place for too long because of what had happened with the football side of things? Did you want to just get away from everywhere, or was it a hunger to actually see more, or both?
Bit of both, but I think it was more I want to live my life. I mean, I spent all my money on ships. I mean, I was earning good money, but I was spending it. Like, I was like, I'm living it. I'm living like every day is my last day, because I'd sacrificed so much. Football, I missed out on loads of parties. I'd said no to so many things because I was so dedicated. So I was like, nah, do you know what? I'm going to live it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to make the most of this experience. But then, like I say, that got quite tiresome. It sort of thought, hold on a minute. Yeah. I need a bit of structure now. I need a bit of grounding. I need to be building this life.
And as someone that's off the back of it now, run and launch multiple businesses, do you look back at how you kind of launched Musclecoach, almost through like the mistakes that you have to make, obviously, and obviously anyone that's launched a business, you don't know what you don't know effectively. But do you look back now and think, God, I wish I knew half of what I know now, to try and wondering where the business could be now, because you would do things differently, or would you stand by how things went up to this point? Yeah,
do you know, I won't change anything, to be honest. I think just like I say this to a lot of people now that I work with, is just launch business. Even if you've got the name, it's not evolved yet, just launch it. I mean, it's even the same with Master Your Life and stuff like that. That failed, right? It was a bad launch, terrible. But he's still pivoted in a different way, and it's coming back to light again, in a way. I think a lot of people sort of have these fantastic ideas, but they never put it out to the world because of fear of failure. Yeah. And you know what? I can't actually remember what was going through my mind at the time. But I also, even though I had the cruise ship, I know people say about plan A, plan B, plan C, but I was still going to gyms to look at where I was going to work. I didn't just go, oh, that's it, I'm going off the cruise ships and that's me done. I'd gone to Virgin Active in Nottingham. I'd gone to Pure Gyms. But I knew that I wanted to have a fresh start. I wanted to get away from where people knew me. I didn't want no one to know me. I wanted to just walk in a room where people just accepted me. Yeah. Didn't know that I played football. Yeah. You know, because I felt, if anyone talked to me about football, I'd be like...
Yeah, no predisposition or...
Yeah, I didn't want...
The first question out of the mouth, how's football going?
Oh, yeah. Because I was so deflated that all my life's work at that moment in time, I had to let it go. It was a really hard decision for us. I just wanted to be in a space where nobody knew me.
Has there ever been a point where you've genuinely considered quitting being like an entrepreneur or a sole trader business owner and going to do something a little bit more secure?
Yeah, but that's actually recently. I didn't when I first started out. I'd probably say after COVID, to be honest, last year, so we're now obviously in 2025, 2024, back end of 2023 and 2024 has been my hardest years in business. And I searched and looked for jobs, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Yeah. Even though I think, it's like entrepreneurship and like being a business owner. You've either got it or you haven't. And I think it's just in me. Yeah. Like, I've got to be running my own business. Obviously, I work with teams. Obviously, I bring people in. Obviously, I've brought you in. Obviously, I've brought Ollie in as well and stuff like that. I do love a team dynamic. I don't like doing everything on my own. Of course. But I'm not made to work for somebody else. Yeah. And I said that. The thing is I said that when I'd finished football and I'd done these bitty bobby jobs, I said I'm unemployable.
I think one thing we spoke about before, I had exactly the same thing when I was going through what I was recently. I was in the position where you probably were, looking at at jobs. I just couldn't quite bring myself
Yeah.
to apply because it just it doesn't sit right. And I
Yeah.
think if you've got that in you to be, whether it's an entrepreneur or business owner or just work for yourself, even in a big or small capacity,
Yeah.
it's going to come out of you one way or the other. And if you did go into a role, you wouldn't be doing it now because I don't think it would last. So with regards to Musclecoach 1-to-1, incredibly successful, stacked out, schedule, doing crazy hours, but obviously earning good money. And obviously, as anyone does, it doesn't matter how much money you earn, you live accordingly, don't you? Like,
of course.
Yeah. So I remember we were speaking to you about online coaching, and at that point you said it didn't really interest you. I think you liked the one-to-one human connection dynamic of it. That's what I was quite surprised when you announced you were going online.
Yes.
What was the catalyst behind that?
Well, it was the world that we was in. Obviously, COVID. I think I had that fear installed in me from, oh wow, my business can close overnight. Whew, that's mental, because that was it. It was just in-person training, and that the world can strip that away from you instantly. Nobody was giving me anything. No one said, oh, don't worry, Luke, I'm going to furl. I'm going to give you some furl. I was like, hold on a minute. Where am I going to find this? Where am I going to find this? I've got a mortgage, got an apartment. I was like, right, I've got to diversify here. I've got to really look at building and bringing in multiple revenue streams. Now, fortunately for me, I was clever because I sort of looked at bringing on coaches. So I brought a revenue stream in that way, sort of franchised the business and sort of had them building their business kind of under my brand name, which they did really well. And then obviously that had a timeline. But then I had a mentorship because I thought to myself, well, I'm in this position now where it's going well. I'm not really sure, because I had a previous sort of experience of online coaching, which I didn't fully enjoy, really. That's the reason why I was like, in person. But COVID changed my mindset on that. And that's when I thought, actually, the world is shifting more online. Maybe I probably need to start looking at how that, because I didn't know. I'm just so good in person. So then that's when I went into that world of the mentorship back in, that was 2021 when I first joined the mentorship.
And having, obviously, because we've both been in mentorships, but obviously separate, and I think when we've spoken about, there's a very similar mindset in the mentorship. It's always, yes, it's about success and it's about money, but it's almost like, you've had a $5,000 a month, great, when's your 10 grand a month? And then you're at 10 grand a month, it's like, yeah, cool, when's your 20? And it can be quite soul destroying because you feel like it's never enough. And you obviously did very well in your mentorship and you obviously pushed hard. Where was the turning point for you where you were like, actually, there's got to be a little bit more to this? Was it wanting more enjoyment? Was it more freedom? Was it less pressure? What was the catalyst for you deciding to leave that mentorship and then do the master your life thing initially?
So in the mentorship, they actually wanted you to, if you was going to create an online business, which I did, I thought, well, actually, okay, Musclecoach has always been around since, I was established in 2015, but it didn't really kick off the ground till 2018. Obviously, bringing a team in sort of diluted it. So not many people knew, oh, okay, so his Musclecoach was so-and-so. It wasn't like, originally it was like Musclecoach, oh, Luke. It's kind of come back like that now, but at that moment in time, it's sort of like, oh, who's it with? So I was like, well, I need to create an online name or a program name, just so you sort of niche out, you sort of have your thing. So for me, I'd just done a lot of personal development at this time. With working online, I had a lot more time back, which I didn't have when I was on the gym floor. So loads of podcasts listening, loads of reading. I thought self-mastery. I kept hearing that word mastery. I'm like, oh, I like that, self-mastery. And always thought, well, I've always done a lifestyle approach anyway when it comes to
coaching.
Looking after somebody. It's always been a holistic way. So I was like, right, do you know what? Master your life. Just kind of comes, put that name down. And that was kind of going out. I think we actually officially launched it in August 2022. And obviously I did it with Abby, where she would coach the females, I coached the males. Ideally, we wanted to bring couples in, get them like sort of working together as a team. Just failed, failed massively. But the thing for me is, when I was in this mentorships, I just constantly felt a lot of pressure. I felt like there was too much information getting bombarded at us all the time. And it was all great. It's like you kind of look at it, you're part of it, and you go, this is amazing. This is amazing. But when you slow down, which I didn't, when you slow down and check in and go, is this actually really tailored to me? Is this specific for my business and what it needs most right now? No. Absolutely not. And that's when I started to crumble. But I lost myself in that process because I was around people that was sort of like big months, pushing every day. Oh, I've got this amount of sales calls. I've got this amount of messages. And I feel that and I think this happened through COVID as well. I feel like the human connection
Yeah.
and the human-centered approach dissolved.
It became about numbers.
Just all became about transactions.
Yeah.
Pump and dump.
Yeah.
Let's get on that belt, get as much money out of them as you
Yeah.
can, and then
Get a year up front, 6 months up front. Get
keep increasing your practice. You know, if you get 5 sales in that 10% increase,
Yeah.
and I found myself doing it.
Yeah.
But then I found myself being disingenuous. I also found myself being inauthentic. I was still getting great results. You know, I mean, the clients I worked with, I was still there. I was still I was still me. Like I was giving them the support and everything I possibly could. But I just kind of found myself going, do you know what? This is not for me. So I did the term, which was 15 months. But here's me. When I was in that mentorship, I'd sign up to another one. So I was double mentorship in it. So and they wasn't complementing each other. It was so different. I mean, they was both good. I'm not saying they weren't, but I started to pick up things that, and this is what I'm saying. I learned a lot about myself, and then I slowed down, and then from that experience, I started realizing, okay, something's got to change here because I'm going to put myself into a stress grave. Like literally, I was burnt out again in my mind. I had loads of time.
Yeah.
But all I was thinking about every day is where's my next client going to come from?
Yeah, and I think that is what I was having that conversation with someone recently. I think when you're a self-employed, whether you're a business or whatever it is, I think you've got to try and not get bogged down in the mindset of I've not made a sale today, and it can be quite stressful. Like regardless of what you've got in the bank or how much you've earned, if you're chasing sales every single day, and I think sometimes the mentorships can push you in that way when you have like a weekly call and everyone rattles off how many sales they've made and you've made none and someone's made 20, well, straight away you feel deflated, and that can put you in a position to say as you were feeling. So with regards the Master Your Life, that was obviously started to take shape, and then you launched it, and I think you've said before you put a lot of money into it. Do you know why that didn't work now?
Yeah, it was rushed.
Right.
There was no sort of meaning behind it. It was like I had this name, it sounded great, but it didn't have like who it was actually specifically for, what the problems were. The marketing and the messaging around it wasn't clear. It was sort of quite cloudy. Right. So again, that's why I believe, looking back upon hindsight, it didn't really take off. Me and Abby just sort of was like, we loved obviously our sort of relationship, obviously, but we thought, do you know, it'd be kind of cool to do something together. Yeah. And we did, obviously, but we soon realised that actually, do you know what? And I found myself as well, because I had female clients and I was just going to then go for men. And I had my female clients start, Luke, does that mean like you're getting rid of us? And they didn't want to leave. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'm missing something. And even still to this day, with clients I work with, I've got a good mix, a male and female. So that would have been a terrible decision to fully commit to that. And you know, I know people say like you need to know who your person is, the age demographic and all that. You really don't. It's like if you understand their pain points and so clearly, and you can put that across in your messaging, I think, you know, you don't need to sort of feel so. I felt there was too much pressure on me. Yeah. And I think that come from the mentorship environment. I think I didn't have any playfulness. I didn't have any enjoyment. You know, it was sort of, there were no creativity. It was all done for you. That was it.
Plug and play stuff.
It was all like, guys, we've got the portal. We've got the calls each week. I mean, the calls were just hype calls. Yeah. When I look back at it, I'm thinking, did I really invest all that for that? Yeah. But you don't know that when you're in it.
Of course.
You have to come out the other side and go, okay, what would I do differently? Yeah.
And the way that I look at something like that, especially with what you're doing now with the Master Your Life and of the business that you're working with, you now know you can almost strip bits away and look what really is going to help someone running a business. Yeah. Without the fluff, effectively.
Yeah, for me, I think, look, I've invested a lot of money, right? I mean, I say this quite openly, and I'll say I've invested 6 figures in 3 years on my personal development. I'm talking going from graphics to VAs to graphic designers, website designers. I mean, I've hired flipping every person that you can imagine, and I've kind of like done all that, exhausted my money, spent too much, spent beyond my means, come back and go, whoa, there's no cash flow. And then I've had to build it back up again. But then when all that happened, I kind of lost everything. Yeah. You know, I was only one client away from being in debt. Yeah. You know, and you know, I took out a loan for a business coach, you know, still, well, I've just paid that one off. But look, I were desperate. I were getting in this scarce mindset. And then I thought, hold on a minute, you've been in business like 8 years, what's going on? I mean, it's 10 years this year and I were doing all this. But again, people won't say this. Of course. But I will hold my hands up and say, look, I've made mistakes, still make mistakes today. things I've learned from it is when you know, and people say this, when you know yourself and you go back to you, so it starts with you, ends with you, you do that work on yourself where you go, hold on a minute, who is Luke? What does Luke do?
Yeah.
What does he enjoy? What did the school kids used to say about Luke? What was his sort of like characteristics? What did people used to say? And do you know what? When I started doing that reflection work, I started thinking, that ain't me now. But that's always been, I know you can change as you go through life, but I was thinking, but that's when I'm having fun.
It's almost like holding the mirror up to yourself and saying, do I like the version, like would I want to hang around with the version of myself I can see right now?
Yeah.
Like this guy that's just obsessed with numbers and work and push. Like, is that someone that's I want A, be with, or ultimately be? So the business mentorship that you've got now, how long has that been going officially?
So, well, it's sort of, I don't like to define it as a mentorship with Master Your Time. I know it is
but
that.
You are, you're helping business owners effectively.
What I don't want it to be or come across as is that I'm sort of giving them all the answers and like, do this, do that daily, daily tasks. If you're not hitting these sort of tasks, you might as well write off your business.
It's not get my system to do this.
It's working with them in a close capacity on actually looking at them building their system that works for them. Because generally what I see is they're just all over the place, which, I've been there. And I think if you're sort of asking the right questions, you're extracting the stuff that they know, but their head's just all over the place. They're not seeing clearly. The business is a bit like, I'm open here. Oh God, I hope it works out. I hope I get my next client. So they're just hitting it and not knowing where it's going. So they've got lack of direction. So all we're doing is we're slowing them down, looking at what they want to achieve and reverse engineering, pretty much. So we're looking at like, right, the first step would be, I call it structural discipline, but it's using time as the mechanism. So becoming a dad back in 2023 has definitely been challenging at times. Being on this entrepreneur journey, having multiple businesses, it can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. One way to kick off your personal development journey is nestled in the heart of Montenegro. Syro Boca Place offers more than just a lifestyle experience. It is the ultimate active lifestyle hotel. Whether you're looking to rejuvenate in their state-of-the-art recovery lab, take a dip in the 25-metre half Olympic pool with a retractable roof, or explore the stunning trails of Boca Bay, there is something for everyone. And if you're like me, who wants to stay active and experience what is on offer, so if you're looking to elevate your travel experience and feel better than when you arrived, to get in on the experience, head over to www.syrohotels.com. Let's look at mastering your time. Mastering your time doesn't mean that you're going to get it absolutely perfect. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about, okay, I've now got discipline with my time, which a lot of people lack. And I'll hold my hands up and say, I lack discipline around my time sometimes. I fall into, I'm going to look at this person's content. Oh, here we go, half an hour's gone by, right? But the reality is most business owners haven't got discipline with their time. So if you're coming from employment and you've been in that environment, to go into self-employment, it's a really weird transition. It's sort of,
it's too much freedom.
Yeah, you sort of, oh my gosh. And you want that because you leave your role because you want more time back. But then you find yourself going, what am I supposed to do now? So it's sort of like creating that routine now, but being your own business owner.
Yeah, you're effectively creating like a false boss that's you, that's dictating what needs doing because I was employed for 20 years. You go in every day and the first thing you do when you walk in, someone gives you a list of what you need to get done. You're like, okay, I'll just do that then.
Yeah, exactly.
So whereas when I was self-employed, I was sat there going, well, I've done all my jobs for today and it's 10 o'clock. Am I done?
Yeah.
Or do I create content? Do I reach out to people and have conversations? It's hard to make yourself be disciplined because even though it's something you're incredibly passionate about, it still needs a lot of discipline to keep pushing forward and grow that business.
Yeah.
So if you'd have, when you nearly stopped the business or when you were winding up, other than you saying, obviously, you've got that entrepreneurial instinct and you wanted to grow a business, what was the kind of goal or what did you do next to push yourself to the position where you are now? Because obviously you went from a position where you said you were looking at other jobs to suddenly where you are now. What did you decide to do? Because you ought to change something, otherwise nothing different would have happened.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing going back last year, I mean, I always say this, compound interest, right? It's the same thing if you put money in the pot, you just keep putting it in and it regularly goes in, so you're consistently doing it, it stacks. This is like what we're doing with time. This is what I've been doing in the business. 2024 was a massive year for me in terms of space. That was the theme of the year. By giving myself that space, I improved as a coach and a business owner and as a father. Ridiculous amounts. Yeah. Didn't really see it at the time. 2024, and even early 2025 was still relatively sort of, still sort of like, is this going to kick off yet sort of thing? And it's still not where it wants to be. It's still got a lot of growth to go. But do you know what I've done? I've got this fire inside me where I'm believing in myself more again. I lost that self-belief a bit going, because I looked at the numbers such as where I was before, as you do, God, what, I'm earning that in whatever. And I'll go, I'm 8 years in business. What is this all about? I should be, like linear. I should be going up and up and up and up and up. But actually, no, you're like, ooh, like, and then you're up and then you're down.
Then, as we've spoken about before, the physical toll of what you were doing 1-to-1 hours wise, the position you would be now if you'd carried that on, you'd be shell of a man. Especially, you couldn't be a decent father, you couldn't be a decent partner because you'd be burnt out. Constant, and you wouldn't be present.
No.
So whilst financially you're not in the same position, from an actual life point of view, you're in a much better position, just to be the person that you want to be.
Yeah, and I feel that I manage it well. I manage my state well. I've got different pockets in my business. I've also got my family life. I've got my relationship life, obviously with Abby and stuff like Remy and all. I really do feel good about it. I'm like, actually, do you know what? I'm quite proud of myself because, of course I could take on more business. Oh, yes, of course. But I've got my boundaries. Yes, I abuse them from time to time, but it's sort of, I feel in a great place. Now, what I'm very wary of is I've also been at a place where I've done too much. Now, I'm also knowing and I'm very clear on people I can help. Like, I'm not scared to turn people away. I'm also very accepting that I'm not the right person for everybody.
Yeah.
When I was a PT, I'd take anybody on.
Yeah.
I'd go, yeah, man, yeah, I can help you, yeah. Even when I was doing online coaching, it was all money,
Same. I've taken people on and within the first 3 messages, this is going to be, and the last 1 to 2 weeks, and then you both, either one of you or both of you really, look, this isn't.
Well, and then they want a refund or they try and tell you that you're not good at what you do, and it's sort of like, is that really worth your energy and time?
I've had it and it's horrible.
Yeah.
When you know that you're not just a good coach, but a good person, and then someone accuses you of scamming them and taking the money because you've asked them to like stop eating cake 5 days a week. It's quite disheartening. So, like I say, I think working with business owners will be very different to working with people from a fat loss point of view, because I find that, it might be the people I've worked with, but I find that people that want to work on their business are a lot more motivated sometimes than the people working on the physiques. Because obviously you will get the people that really go for it and get amazing transformation of the physiques, but people are willing to invest more time into their business sometimes because of where their priorities lie. So one of the things that you do with the business coaching or how do you make them find that balance? Because obviously I'm assuming there will be a massive health section of how you work as well, because it's not just about building this business to the detriment of them physically, it's twinning the two together. So how do you find that balance with business owners?
Well, I don't want them just to be completely soaked up in the business, right? Because when you first start a business, you look, you're going to sacrifice, right? You're going to be doing many hours. You're going to be doing ridiculous times, like early morning, late night, all that kind of stuff to get it going. Yeah. The hardest part is starting out a business. So there's going to be boundaries abused, but what you have to remember is you can't leave you out of it. I know what it feels like to lose identity twice now, both in they're both professional because I was in football trying to go for that, and then obviously with my business when I just did nothing but work, never had a day off. I just want them to look after themselves. I'm very human centered. I'm all about, right, okay, so let's look at you. How are you feeling? So I won't even ask them how the business is going. I'll ask how they are first. So how are you feeling? Yeah, I'm feeling great. Are you? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Is family all right? So you kind of focusing on that element first. Like, I mean, I'm meeting up with a client this weekend, and they sort of said to me, Luke, I know you're not my and this is business, by the way. Luke, I know you're not my life coach, which I'm not a life coach. I know it gets flown about. Yes. But can you help me find, like they're asking me, can you help me find something that is not work related? Imagine that. Yeah. Because they know that I'm very, very much on, you've got to prioritise yourself. There's got to be space away from the business. You've got to find something that's not business related. So if you're a fitness coach, you've got to find something that's not just fitness. is it knitting? I don't know.
Whatever.
Is it like playing piano?
Yeah.
You've got to find a little bit of is it sports cars? You know, whatever it may be, just something that just takes that bit of spin off from work. Because do you know what? You could be in that car driving somewhere and your best ideas can come for your business whilst you're doing something different. You know, because you've got that more creativity. You might then start using an analogy from a car like people do with the health. You know, servicing your body like you service your car, sort of thing. But what's following you around all day? Well, your body, not your car.
And the thing is,
it's things like that.
The common thread along everything you've said, whether it's been cruise ships, whether it's been one-to-one, whether it's been a business, is that human connection.
Yeah.
That's the consistent
Community,
thread that runs through.
Yeah.
And one thing, again, for mentorships, the way that the mentorships are done is that they want to get a high volume of people in with plug-and-play systems.
Yes.
So that's happening in the background, and then the mentor will be involved, but they don't need to be hyper-available because they've got all these systems in place. And that's the way that they try and teach you, is to create these systems so you can have as many people and be not as involved. Whereas what it sounds like what you're trying to do is help as many people as you can, but still keep it very centered on the human connection.
Always.
So they don't feel like a number within the business.
Yeah.
They are getting that attention, that it's not just a client-coach relationship. It's because, for me, I think, and this is clearly how you do things, that to be a good coach, you've got to know everything about that person.
You've got to know the person, 100%. You've got to know the person. Because it's sort of like, I had it the other week with a client where, you know, they was on the call and they wasn't feeling really up to it. I said, let's leave it today. Let's leave the call, we'll reschedule. You're not in the right mindset. You're not going to soak anything up. You're not going to get excited about it. You're just not right. You're drained. But it's like, you know, in their mind, they're like, oh, but I'm like investing this money. I've got to be there. And I get it because they don't let me down.
Ticking the box.
Right? But at the end of the day, we're human. We're going to feel a bit down sometimes. It's not going to be the right time to nail business, or it's not going to be the right time to push. You might have to pull back a little bit. Yeah. That's the human-centered approach. That's understanding people, which, like what you just said there about the mentorships and stuff, it's like, look, at the end of the day, they use the word leverage. Yeah. Right? That's the fancy leverage. Scale, leverage, all that kind of stuff. The reality is you know what? Majority of them aren't happy anyway. They're not. They're empty. Yeah. Do you know what? Because all they do is work. And don't get me wrong, like, it's hard for me to switch off as a business owner. It really, really is. And, you know, when people say, you've got to switch off, you've got to find the balance, there's no balance. But what I will say is, you've got to find something beyond your work. You have to find something, because otherwise you're not going to enjoy it. And that's why so many people, when you're chasing, which most people do in business, they chase the next best thing, the next client, the next lead, they're not present. So they're in the future mindset. That creates anxiety and stress. But whilst you're doing that, you're losing what matters most to you. You're losing your family connection. You're losing time with your kids. You're losing everything. You don't realise it because you're just chasing. You're in chasing mode, but you're not slowing down.
If you had to sum up your, I keep using the word coach and mentorship, but you know,
that's fine. I know what you mean.
If you had to sum up what was your like start and end point, so from day one of working with somebody to the day that they say, Luke, you've done everything you can for me. I mean, what is your kind of mission statement effectively for someone that comes into your business?
So, I mean, it's building a dream business, basically. Building their dream business.
However that looks. Yeah,
however that looks. But it's basically getting them away from chaos, feeling a sense of calm, playing the long game. That's it. The clients that I work with, they sort of go, do you know what, Luke? Feel more in control. Brilliant. That's it. It's what it wants to be. That is exactly what I want to hear. Do you know what, Luke? I feel like I can have that day off and I'm not even worried about it anymore. Yeah. Brilliant. Same with fitness. They go, do you know what, Luke? I've just had a social weekend. I've had a barbecue. I've just had pitters and I don't even feel bad about it. Oh, wow. When was the last time you felt that way? Can't remember. That is the sort of coaching that kind of like gets to me and makes me feel really good, because then you sort of know, it's a lasting impact. Yes. You know it's sustainable. Whereas if it's sort of like, oh yeah, I've worked with Luke and I've got shredded, or oh, I've worked with Luke and I've got massive arms, or oh yeah, I've worked with Luke and my business is 10k a month, right? Oh yeah, that's great.
But next month.
Exactly. And they walk away and they go, well, I'll tell you what did you have to do then for that? And they go, oh man, it got me outbound like 100 times a day. Oh man, it got me, listen, I was doing 600 minutes cardio a week. Yeah. Well, then you're not a great coach. Yeah, you're great at getting results. Yeah. You're not a great coach, and then see them 3 or 4 years later. Come on, like they'll have bad habits, they'll be destroyed, they'll be all over the place. And you know what? I've made mistakes like that before, and I guess being in business now 10 years, you learn, and it's sort of like now for me, it's weird to say this, but like, of course I have stress, and of course I get in chaotic mindset, and I worry. Listen, I worry most days. I could be worrying, going, God, I'm like 5 clients away from business going AWOL again, but also at the same time, I have a lot more calm in my approach with people that I work with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's things that I've learned then. Obviously, I've known you a long time, and I've even chopped up videos about your life story. There's still things that I've learned today. So I think this will be the end of this episode. We're going to dive into a little bit more of the human element next time, and the little bit more behind the scenes of you as a dad and you as a partner and how you balance that. So thank you for the business side of it.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Love that.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you once again for everyone tuning into this episode. From us, if you enjoyed it, if you've taken value from it, if you just tap a like, drop a comment below, and even better, support us on our journey moving forwards, just hit that subscribe button. We'd love to hear from you. Feedback is welcome, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.